Aaron Whitlow.
Brandon Spivey, welcome back to the Markout Movie Podcast.
And on this week, we are doing a Brandon selection in our horror section.
Why you
Uh,
gotta do it like that? Why you gotta say it like that?
uh, this is the horror section. All right, the horror section. This episode, we will be reviewing none other than the last the the last voyage of the Demeter,
Dracula on a boat.
Dracula on the boat, as Brandon likes to exclaim. So Dracula on the boat. As you can see, that's the poster for it. Um, a crew sailing from Varna, Bulgaria, by the Black Sea to England find that they are carrying a very dangerous cargo. You can see it's on Paramount Plus, or you can rent it.
Or you make the fatal mistake that I made and buy it.
Yeah, you can do that. You can put a brand in and buy it. But this movie, let me get to my, where are we at here? There we are. This movie stars Corey Hawkins as Clemens, Mr. Clemens, uh, Aislinn Franciosi, Anna is Anna or Anna. She's most recently she's in Speak No Evil, the remake. That she's excellent in that, but obviously you got to see that movie for what's the name? Um,
His name? Come on,
huh?
come on. What's his name?
I don't know, Professor X. Come on,
James McAvoy. Come on now, Aaron.
James McAvoy. Yeah, you got to see him, and that also has Liam Cunningham as Captain Elliot, known most famously in Game of Thrones. Um, that reminds me, I probably need to sign out of an app that I totally forgot that I'm in. It's okay. I'll go. We'll play by ear. Hopefully, it doesn't ring. Um, and the last person I want to mention is David Dutch Mullen. I can't say his name. As Wojciech. This guy has been eating. He's been doing a good job. He was in was Late Night with the Devil this year.
Yeah.
Last year he was in Suicide Squad. He was a standout in that movie. He was also in, I think, one of the Batman movies. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Uh, he's been doing some really good things.
Suicide Squad, I think.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
the best. He's probably the best out of the crew members. He's one of my favorite ones that kind of
Oh, really?
see in this movie. Yeah, huh?
You didn't like Corey?
I thought he was okay. I think that they. It feels like they want to still continue the dark universe, the dark cinematic universe. I get that feeling. Remember Brad Pitt's Mummy and all that they wanted to do.
Tom
It just
Cruise. Tom Cruise.
Yeah, Tom Cruise, not Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise. Um,
You're thinking Interview with a Vampire.
hang on, my bad. But yeah, I felt like this movie suffered from a lot of pacing issues.
Oh yes. I mean, and I didn't notice it when I was actually watching the movie, but I realized that after I watched the movie, who directed it, same director that directed, and I liked that movie, but he directed Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. But I also thought
Yep.
that had pacing issues in that last act. Uh, I think he has an issue with pacing. But this one, it's just like from beginning to end, it's pacing issues. It just drags and drags and drags. You don't get to see Dracula to like what the 30-minute mark. Like it's finally you get to see him, and it's only for a brief moment. And I like the scene where he kills that dude.
Yep.
But the next time you actually see him in full vision is the CGI is so bad. It's I don't know what was going
Yeah.
on there. It just I don't know. I thought the scenes with Dracula were cool, but there wasn't many of them. I think this movie, what hurt this movie the most was that it took place in multiple days because it's essentially a slasher movie with Dracula on a boat, and it just takes over multiple days and it drags it out. It was hard to watch.
Well, it has a couple. Well, first of all, also Andre Overdahl. He
Yeah,
also directed Autopsy of Jane Doe, which I enjoyed, but that also was more of a slow burn horror as well. I think that's what he does. I've never seen Crow Hunter. I heard good things, but I've never seen it. Um, but I think that uh, he he typically uh, like with this movie, it has some of the typical tropes in a monster movie. The first thing that dies is typically the animals, things like that. And
yeah,
then the first thing is then the next is a crew member, you know, and it did some things where typical horror movie doesn't do with some of the deaths in the movie. But but the whole time you're just waiting for to see Dracula again, and
mm-hmm.
and and I don't really. Maybe it's because I've been inundated with the Nosferatu look of Dracula, which I gotta speak on it. Nosferatu, the original movie, Max Schreck was a. It didn't get the rights from Bram Stokers' family, and so they just kind of made the movie, and I think they might have been sued. But so they changed a lot of the names of the characters and the kind of look of the monster to be what Nosferatu is. But I think that people have tried to tie that into being who Dracula is.
Yeah,
Nosferatu was Count Orloff or Orlok or some Orlok. I think I forget. But anyway, I just feel like that look in this movie, the Dracula in this movie, for some parts of it, kind of gives a Nosferatu type of look, in my opinion. And and after seeing the Salem's Lot, I finally finished the original, and then I watched the sequel before that. I just feel like I'm kind of overseeing that variation of which don't mean anything because we're gonna see actual Nosferatu coming out soon. So yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I watched like Abigail right before this, and I had a lot
Um,
of fun with Abigail.
that was your mistake. You probably should have started with this and ended on a high note. You can't follow Abigail. Abigail is it's a 10 out of 10 film. It's like a 5 mark out of 5 for me. It's like I had so much fun with it. I had so much fun with the characters.
Yeah,
I even when characters were killed off, I kind of like hated that they got killed off. I like the characters, you know. Um,
yeah. It was a really fun movie, and I kind of thought this was gonna be fun too. I mean, maybe I hyped it up too much.
well, because you call it Dracula on a boat,
Yeah, I thought, well, we're gonna get a lot of good kills with It's gonna be like a slasher movie, and it's kind of what it looked like by the trailers. Like, it's gonna be a fun little time on a boat. And maybe I was thinking Jason Takes Manhattan as well because of all the kills he got to do on that boat. But I have to say, Jason Takes Manhattan was a better time than this. But completely different subgenres. Jason's a slasher and Dracula's a vampire. But I don't know, man. It's not just the length of the movie. It's I don't know. It's everything. It just did not work for me.
Mm.
I mean, nothing. Like, I thought Corey Hawkins was probably the best character in the movie, but at the same time, I'm not gonna say he was a great character because I thought every character in this movie was paper thin. Like, they tried to spend time on these characters, but you just wanted to see Dracula and you wanted to see Dracula kill people because that's what you were promised. And it happens. It's so far in between, and I don't know. I was bored watching it, and it's unfortunate because I was really looking forward to this. Since I started my Halloween thon, I was really looking forward to Dracula on a boat, and it was a huge letdown.
Well, when you call Dracula on the boat, it puts it in a funner, in a more fun,
Yeah,
campy category. But this it was super serious.
it
Like
was.
there's the pace, it's not just the pacing. I guess the point of view, which is it was coming for as a old school horror, like an old school horror film. And Dracula is probably one of my favorite characters in horror movies of all time.
Yeah,
Not my favorite, but one of my favorites. Just I like the lure of him, and if it's done really well, he can be kind of menacing. Uh, but and vampires in general are fun, typically fun times. This movie kind of played around with the myth of the vampire in the sense of like there's several people that kind of show crosses to Dracula, but it had no effect
yeah,
on him. Like, and I thought at that moment, I'm like, how do you? I thought like, how do you kill this guy? Like seriously, like it's just like, uh, but uh, it. But we've seen it before. We've seen. If you ever seen Bram Stokers Dracula, if you ever seen Vampire in Brooklyn, even, or anything like that, where the ship comes in and it's abandoned as a ghost ship, Dracula's on it. Dracula makes his way into civilization. This movie isn't about that. It's not about him making his way into civilization. It's about the voyage from Bulgaria to England, and I don't think there was enough crew members kept me. There wasn't enough crew members to keep me interested.
yeah. I agree, 100%. Also, I think a problem with this movie is not only that. I feel like its objective was to set up another movie.
Yeah,
When you get to the end, that's all it was. It's been a long time since I've seen Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, the one with Keanu Reeves, Winona Ryder, and I can't think of his name.
Jay, Jay Odom.
Yeah, Gary Oldman. I don't remember this doctor being in that movie. He may have been. I just don't remember it.
I don't
Um,
think I don't remember him ever being in the movie.
so I was like, I'm not familiar with someone surviving that voyage, then was tracking Dracula. But if that's the case, then that's the case. But I just felt this whole movie was at the end of it. After I watched it, I was like, well, it just was just trying to set up another movie, which it's not going to get because it flopped at the box office.
They
Uh,
try to make him like a Van Helsing type character, but he
yeah,
wasn't. He's not Van Helsing. Now it'd be different if his name was like Clement Van Helsing or something
yeah.
like that, and then they're like, oh, this is why he starts chasing him. Um, you know, but I don't know, man. I just feel uh, I just felt like By the end of it, I was ready for it to end.
Oh yeah, I was ready for 10 by the 1 hour mark. It's
Yeah,
like it just dragged. It was a complete dragging, and I know I wasn't invested. And you're right. I should have watched it before I watched Abigail, because and I'm not saying it's like the worst movie I've seen, or even a vampire subgenre. It's not, but it's just I think he's just overplayed.
you think
You
you
gotta do
can't
something
be?
different with him, like they did with Renfield. What Nick Cage did, that was great.
Yeah, and that's another point I was going to bring up too, Brandon. Is so this is the second Dracula film that came out in 2023 because Renfield was was a movie that came out, um, and I would argue uh, that it was the better of the movie. It's a better time. It
Yeah,
knew what it leaned into. It was horror. It was action. It Nicolas Cage was very believable as Dracula. He became Dracula, and I seen him as Dracula. And he really did a good thing. And then Nick Holt was good as Renfield. I'm not a big Aquafina fan, but I think she was passable in that movie.
yeah,
Um, but I just think that this takes it serious, and there's nothing wrong with that because Bram Stokers Dracula is a serious film. An Interview with a Vampire, everybody knows not Dracula, it's a serious film.
yeah,
My point is, they're serious films, but when you have a premise of Dracula on the boat, you don't be afraid to be campy. You know what I mean? Don't be
yeah,
afraid to go straight slasher. Have it take place over the course of one full night, or I understand the voyage, but I don't know. It's a hard story to tell, and it's just one chapter out of the whole Bram Stoker Dracula's book.
yeah. It just felt like it was like I honestly thought it was like 30 minutes too long. It was almost 2 hours, like an hour and 59 minutes. I felt like they could at least shaved off at least 20 of it. Like he should have got to the point a lot faster
Yeah,
than they did. But regardless, I mean, it just wasn't a very good time.
yeah. There was some. Now I will give it this. There was some very interesting kills
Yeah,
or scary moments. There were some straight up scary moments. Uh, um, the scary moment for me involved I forget his name. I keep going to Renfield. But the scary moment for me involved the one guy who try to kill the kid. And then he's just standing there, and when Clemens looked at him, and the guy slowly turns to look at him,
yeah,
uh, you see that he's kind of like possessed or whatever. Um, I thought that was a good moment. The moment with the boy dies. Spoilers, guys. The boy dies. Um, by Dracula, and in the moment where he kind of bursts in flames, I thought that was a really good moment. Um, that they went that route. But what took me out of it, Brandon, is the makeup. Well, not the makeup, but the CGI of Dracula. I thought I felt he looked too fake, too CGI,
yeah.
and that took me out of it.
Like when you first meet him, you can't really see him, but he looked creepy. But when you got a close up shot of him in the CGI, it looks like something that would have been made in the early 2000s with
Mm.
him, that aspect, and it takes you right out of the movie. Like I showed a friend of mine a clip of it. I thought it was going to be a good moment because it was the guy you said you liked. He was on the boat, on another boat, trying to escape, and Dracula flies to him. So I thought we're going to get a really good kill. You're going to see it. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be gory. So I recorded it for him because he was curious about the movie, and he's like, "Ouch, that kind of sucks." I was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, yeah." I thought it was actually going to be good, but yeah, I was just trying to show him little bit of the movie, but
No, that wasn't the guy I like. I didn't like the little Asian cook guy. It's not the guy I like, by the way. That was the Asian cook that tried to escape and he got killed on the boat. I'm talking about I like the guy that was in Suicide Squad, and
uh,
he's the last he was in last night with the devil. Uh, he's really good. He's the guy that the captain told him this is going to be your ship eventually, and
yeah.
he's going to try to sink it, but then Dracula killed him in the basement. That guy.
Okay, okay. I
Um,
guess I got him confused. I actually
yeah,
thought he tried to escape.
no. He went down. He went down with the ship in the sense of Dracula killed him down in the basement of the ship. I don't know what that's called. But anyway, I want to say real quick that it has a 50% on the tomato meter, so critics pretty much hated it. It's rotten. But the audience 75% positive. So uh, it's it's a mixed bag for some people. I can see why people may like it, but it's not. Out of all the vampire movies I've seen the last couple of 3 days, 3 or 4 days, which that includes Salem's Lot, the original, Salem's Lot, the remake, and this. I take Salem's Lot, the remake, is by far the best uh, vampire movie I've seen this year. I liked it. I liked it personally. I thought it was good, but I never. But at that point, I never seen the original, and then I seen the rest of the original, and I was like, yeah, they did a thing with the remake. They did a better job. So
Which I haven't seen the remake. I've heard a lot of negative remarks about it. Like they changed a lot. It's like a hollow version of what the book is. But
yeah,
that's just what they do with Stephen King's work majority of the time, unless it's someone that really appreciates him. Like like the guy you like, Mike Flanagan. He really appreciates Stephen King's vision and all that, and he tries to keep that into his adaptations when he does one. But most of them just kind of make their own thing, just using the title. You know,
yeah.
so that's what I've got. That's what the gist of it is. That's what they did here with the remake. It just kind of made it their own thing. I didn't like the original. I thought it was just poorly done. But it's a '70s movie, so and I kind of watched it when I was a kid. So I my feelings could change if I ever did rewatch it. But I
Well,
just
I recommend you see the new one. I think that you'll like it. I think you'll get a kick out of it. But I think that the best vampire movie that come out in most recent years is Abigail. I think that has I think that was such a fun time. I
yeah
agree with the trailers. If they would have never revealed that she was a vampire, it would have been even that reveal would have been great.
yeah
Uh, but but also I understand that nobody probably would have went to see it if they didn't know that she was a vampire. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. It was kind of the same way they did that Invitation. They kind of revealed it was a vampire movie.
Mm-hmm.
Different, different, different film in every way. But yeah, Abigail was probably the best. Like, it's one of the best movies I've seen this year. Like honestly, it's up there. It's I missed it in theaters, but I'm glad I did get to watch it on Peacock. I agree. I think it is the best vampire to come out in recent memory. Best one since 30 Days of Night, in my opinion. I hold that one up there in high regard. I think that's one of the best ones, period. But yeah, Abigail was great.
30 Days a Night is since we're on that topic because this movie is kind of a bust. But uh, I would say my favorite vampire movie, and I said this on the BG Horror, and I know you said yours, but I Fright Night is probably my favorite uh, vampire film. But I do like somebody mentioned Blade 2, and I give Blade 2 props. It was a much better movie than Blade, in my opinion. And then 30 Days a Night is a solid vampire movie. Near Dark is a solid vampire movie. Lost Boys is a solid vampire movie. and Abigail is straight up. It's just fun. It's in a different. I think Abigail's in a different class of its own. You know what I mean?
Well, I would if I was going to compare it to anything, which I did in my Letterboxd review, I compared it to one vampire movie. I thought the last act was kind of like Near Dark a little bit. I thought Dan Stevens kind of became Bill Paxton in that way. His character just flipped to insanity and fun, and he just reminded me of Bill Paxton, especially when he had the blood all over his mouth. I got Bill Paxton vibes from Near Dark. So I would compare the last act to that, but everything else, to me, it was kind of like The Collector. I don't know if you've seen The Collector, but with a vampire. But it was fun. It was more fun than The Collector was. So, yeah, it's a vampire movie that's different.
I got it because there's a B, and I don't do B.
You don't do B's.
No. But I'm gonna move this party up to the front. Anyway, yeah, you say The Collector?
Yeah.
I've never seen that movie. I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's from my memory, it's about a guy that breaks into a house and it's booby trapped.
Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it.
I'm just saying, it reminded me of Saw a little bit with the traps, but yeah, it's what it reminded me of when they first got to that house, and it it became like a trap, and then someone died. And
yeah, I thought that I loved just the callback to Dracula. I love the callback to other vampire stuff.
I don't know if I went off air.
And
went off the air.
huh?
I said I didn't know if I went off the air or if you went off the air.
Oh,
it froze.
I'm here. Oh, am I still frozen?
No, you're good now.
All right. So I like the part when she's dancing with the man's body. I thought that was a good moment. And then like taking that like because they always said, well, we can use garlic, a cross, we can use this, we can use that, and she pretty much beat them up with everything that they had: the steak, the cross, the garlic. Like she smelled the garlic and just threw it, and just like it's just a fun movie.
It was fun. And while I was watching it, I like Kevin Durant in it. Oh, I thought he was hilarious. But I will say this about Melissa. When they get ready to do Scream 7, she's going to be missed. She's great, man. She is. I would actually put her in running for the current best Scream Queen. I actually would. She is just great. She commands the screen when she's on. And
yeah, I thought about that with that movie too. I think that she like Joey, I believe.
yeah,
I think that she is. I think she's gonna have no problem with her career going forward. I feel like she's got a career in horror.
yeah.
And I hope she finds more work because she was really good. She's really good in the movie. I hate that she's no longer going to be a part of the Scream franchise, but they can always bring her back eventually. They didn't unless they kill her off. But if they don't kill her off, if they just have her, it's not focused on her. It's focused on Sydney. Then
Yeah, I don't think they're going to kill her off. I think they're going to just kind of say they're doing their own thing somewhere else, which I think it's a way to bring them back. Those two characters, all four of them actually, because I don't think any of them are going to be in the next one. They shouldn't be since it's focused on Sydney and her family. But I think you could do two Screams simultaneously. One with Sydney's family, and another one with the sisters and the two friends. I think with some time passed, a lot can be forgiven. I think Melissa could forgive the studio for what they did to her, just for speaking her mind. Whether she's right or wrong, she was speaking her mind. So, I mean, it's no reason to fire someone, for speaking their mind. But, and then the Jenna Ortega thing, she wants more money. And I knew that was coming because she's blown up.
Yeah, she is a mega star now. She switched and Beetlejuice kind of elevated her even more. She's gonna have season 2 of Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can't think you're gonna get her for the same price you got her before. It's like before WrestleMania you could get Hulk Hogan at a certain price, but after WrestleMania his stock goes up. You gotta pay more for
Yeah.
Hogan. After he body slams Andre Giant, his stock goes up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and with how much money the Scream franchise has made, especially with the last 2 entries, they can afford to. They've paid Nev Campbell, so I mean,
Yeah,
they can afford it, and they should. They should pay people what they're worth.
I agree. Well, you ready to give your marks for this movie?
I've been ready. Yeah, 2 out of 5 on the mark out meter. It's just a dull,
2 out of 5.
somewhat boring experience.
I give it a little bit higher. I give it 2.5 mark out of 5
2.5.
because of the because a couple of the characters I really enjoyed. And there's a couple of scenes with Dracula that was meant to be creepy. Like the scene where the guy says no, please, and then Dracula says no, please. I was like, okay, that's cool, but I think that being a CGI Dracula, I think the ending of it takes me out of it. Unless they do that and they make it a straight slasher, maybe Dracula, make him the Jack the Ripper, actually Jack the Ripper or something. That'd be kind of cool. But I don't see the point in the ending. But yeah, 2.5 mark out of 5.
Yeah, unfortunately for people involved, it won't get a sequel because it was a massive flop, one of the biggest flops last year. So I don't. It sucks for Corey Hawkins. I mean, I don't know. He's a good actor. I like him, but since Straight Outta Compton, he really hasn't picked the best stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At a Straight Outta Compton, he really hasn't picked stellar
I think he
film.
had 1 hit since then. That was the Kong Skull Island movie.
Yeah.
But no one came for him. I mean, they came for Kong. So,
Yeah.
But I like him. I liked him in 24. I liked him in The Walking Dead. I liked him Straight Outta Compton. I even liked him in this for the most part. He just doesn't choose the best.
Yeah.
But,
well, I don't think that the movie in itself was bad. Had it been him by someone else, it might have been different. Nothing against Andre Overdahl, whatever his name is. I think that I like I said, the Four Tops of Jane Doe. I liked what's the other movie he did?
Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
I like that, although that has some CGI issues at points. But
it did.
But and then that came out several years ago, and then Fear Street come out, which kind of mopped the floor with the it breathes some more life into the horror genre, the trilogy.
Yeah,
and it got the genres.
Yeah, I was just gonna say though, when he did Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, that was more towards preteens. That age. Fear Street was clearly for adults. I mean, It has set scenes. It's clearly for adults. I was just saying, Goosebumps should have went in that direction of what Scary Stories did instead of
I
being
agree.
all kiddie.
And nothing against Scary Stories. Scary Stories is a great gateway horror movie.
Yeah,
If you want somebody to try to maybe see if they want to dip their toes in the horror genre, that's the movie to do it with. Because it's not gonna. It has some scary moments, but it's nothing that's gonna be like. It's nothing that's gonna damage them. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
like I think it's a good gateway horror film for somebody to watch. Uh, but Goosebumps, if you want to watch that, you can. It's more childish. It's almost like a Disney like horror film. You know what I mean? In a
Yeah.
sense
And
of
I really liked the first movie. It's just it wasn't really Goosebumps. Not what I remembered anyway. Like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was more like Goosebumps to me when I was reading it as a teenager or 10 to 11 years old. I mean, that's what I envisioned Goosebumps to be if it was made into a movie, and it wasn't. It was really kiddie. But it had Jack Black in it, and it was fun, but it wasn't what I thought it would be.
yeah.
Fear Street was what I thought it would be as far as what they were going for, like more of an adult audience. I thought that's what they would have done in the Fear Street movies, and they did. And I really look forward to the next installment that's coming next year, I believe.
I will say this about the first three movies. Like the first one, I was critical of it at first. I
Yeah,
was like, man, it just wasn't. I was like, you're trying to be Scream, but it doesn't really register for me. But the moment that they killed, like who I thought was a pretty main character, I was like, oh, okay, we're doing that. I'm like, okay, what? Like it kind of like it went a place where I didn't think they was gonna go, and I was like, okay, now this movie makes. Yeah, I'm here for it.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, and then Fear Street, 1970 was it 78 or
I want to say it was 78.
I think it's 98, 78, and then
16. Was it 16 something?
yeah,
Yeah.
16, yeah. But I think the second one was like a homage to camp slashers,
Yeah.
The Burning, Friday the 13th, any of those like slasher from the 70s, 80s. That was straight up
Yeah.
love letter to those, and I thought it did a good job.
Yeah, I thought the second entry was the best. But I thought the third entry made everything make sense and made the overall product better. Because I had some issues with the first one as well. I think I liked it a little bit better than you did, but and you agreed with this at the time. When you watched the third one, it just made everything make sense and it made the first movie better.
Yeah, it did. It strengthened, and and it's a proper trilogy, a proper way to do a trilogy to
Yeah.
tie it up. So if they didn't want to do any more, they don't have to do any more. They did a good job. Um, but all right, so next week I've been trying to mull over what I'm going to choose, and I think I decided to choose Toxic Avenger.
Toxic Avenger.
Yeah,
That's
uh,
it's gonna
we're
be a time.
going.
I've never
It's gonna
seen
be,
it, so I don't really know what to expect.
don't watch trailers. Just go into it and watch it.
Well, that's usually what I do these days,
Yeah,
if I can help
trailers.
it.
Trailers spoil movies.
They do today. They didn't used to. They used to get you excited to watch the movie, but now you feel like you've seen the movie. I agree with you. I didn't used to agree with you, but I do now. They spoil it. They like Abigail was a prime example of them spoiling the movie. I'm sure there's others. Like I haven't seen many trailers lately, so I don't go to theaters all that often anymore, so I don't see them, and I don't watch them online, so I avoid. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean that's just the one I can think of as Abigail. Like they spoiled that movie because halfway through the movie you don't know that she's a vampire, and I was like, wow, the
yeah. I
trailer
think
literally spoiled the movie.
yeah. I thought I missed the garbage truck, but clearly I did not. It's going to get very, very stinky very quickly. Um. Anyway,
It's
uh,
life.
yeah, life. It's like a bottle for life. But real quick, I was thinking about this. For those that are wondering, uh, here in Bowling Green, tomorrow they will be screening Halloween and Halloween 2 at the Capitol Arts. You can get your tickets at the Capitol Arts website. They're free. You can just purchase a ticket. You know, it's free. Like you just freely click on it and they send you an email or whatever. They just do that for a head count to see how many people are going to come to the theater. But they're showing Halloween and Halloween 2, and you can see it in Bowling Green and hear the Bowling Green name and the references, and it'd be kind of cool to see it in a theater, um, with other folks. Halloween 2, in my opinion, is the better of the movies. Um,
What?
I say
What?
that I say that now. I love Halloween, but Halloween 2 gets straight to the point with the kills. They ramp up the gore, and I think that it's the movie that I remember the most. It's the first Halloween movie I remember is Halloween 2.
I can't believe you're saying this on the air.
Hey, I've also said that I've also gone on record and said that Halloween 2018 is it?
Yes.
Is that the one? I say that is I thought that was a better film than the first one, but it's great. Like I love like just
I
everything
used
about.
to, I when I first saw it, I thought that, but I've rewatched it a few times since. I don't think it compares. I think Jamie does. I think as far as Jamie Lee Curtis goes, it's her best performance she's ever given. But I just there's something. Halloween's a slow burn. It takes its time, but I don't know. I'm just flabbergasted that you think part two is better. Like,
You know?
oh no, I don't at all.
Oh,
I
okay.
like part two was I remembered it the most growing up because it was on all the time. I always caught it on Halloween after trick or treating, just about every year. But as an adult, man, I don't like it all that much. I feel like it's funny and it's ironic that I just feel like it's trying to copy Friday the 13th, which is what Friday the 13th did.
That's where you're. I mean, but I would say this: it makes sense, Brandon, that it's copying Friday the 13th because Friday the 13th at that point in time set the stage of what
Yeah.
slashers was.
Oh yeah,
And
I
so
agree.
the only way to compete with it, because before that, what we had was uh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is a slow burn. And then you have we had a lot of like the devil type of things, like The Omen, The Exorcist. There's some slashers like Black Christmas, which is still pretty slow. It's more fast paced than Halloween, in my opinion, but it's still pretty slow, uh, in a sense. But Friday the 13th, and at that point, by this point, have we had Friday 13 1 and 2? Have we had Jason at this point?
It was at 81 for Halloween.
Um, Halloween 2, I feel like it's 80. I feel like it's 84. I might be wrong. 80. I
I don't
feel
think it
like
was
it's
that long after. I think it was
or
only
the first
3
one came
years.
out. First one came out 78.
Yeah, but I think the sequel came out like in 81. So
Um,
it would have been Friday 13th Part 2 would have came out by then. A bunch of slasher movies came out after 1980 though, because they were trying to copy what Friday the 13th did, which is just ironic because that was copying Halloween. But I
like
don't know.
81.
But it doesn't copy Friday the 13th. Well, I should
No,
say Michael doesn't copy Jason. I don't. I
no.
don't. I still feel it's Michael Myers. I don't feel like it's Jason. I didn't feel he was trying to be Jason till part 4. I think it's just obvious the way he's bigger. It's just really obvious that they were trying to copy Jason then.
It's
But
funny. It's funny how horror movies do that. As far as like
oh yeah,
somebody innovates and then everybody else kind of gravitates towards it.
hmm
So you have Michael kicked off, and if anybody argue with you, tell them to argue with their mama. Michael kicked off. Michael kicked off the holiday horror.
not even.
I know. Black Christmas technically did, but no one grabbed a hold to that until Halloween. Then people like, oh, let's make other holiday horrors. Friday 13th is it's in itself a holiday horror in that sense. But then Friday 13th stepped it up and made the slasher like Tom Savini took it to a different level.
Yeah,
Um, and then from there, the next innovator would have been Jason. I feel, but then Freddy became the next innovator. I don't know, Jason, Freddy. I don't
they
think
both
Freddy really
dominated the '80s. I
they
mean,
dominated. They was tag teaming it. But then the next innovation would have been Scream, in
yeah,
my opinion. And then that was its own innovation. And then Saw, and that was its own innovation.
yeah, it created the torture porn.
And then the ghost found footage films later on and stuff
Yeah,
like
which we have to blame. I think it's a movie we both like, but I loved it at the time. I haven't rewatched it in a long time. Blair Witch. If Blair Witch
yeah,
doesn't happen, this found footage craze never happens either, and I wish it hadn't happened.
yeah,
I hate that genre. I think it's Paranormal Activity that makes me hate it. Like there's a couple of them I enjoyed, but I was like for the most part, I just found them to be really boring. Like
mm,
nothing happens till like the last shot of the movie. Like especially that first movie. In my opinion, nothing interesting happens until that last shot.
yeah.
Other than them arguing and she thinks she's experiencing stuff. Which I mean, I can't say anything. I mean,
I'll
I
say
really
this
can't.
about the thing about Blair Witch Project was it's so simple. It's so simple. It was guerrilla shooting.
Yeah.
They 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 got left notes of what to do. They didn't know what the other person was gonna do. Uh, they had uh, they had just that they had to really like improv, and they was really stressed, really crying, really tired, really hungry, you know, and then the like sticks. You just see sticks hanging in a tree, and it's creepy. You hear noises outside of your tent. You don't see it, but you hear it. It's
Yeah.
creepy. And then like the man just standing in the corner at the end, in your brain, you're like, what is it? What is it? And it's the scariest thing that, and people will probably say it today, say, oh, that's not scary, but imagine watching it in 1999, you know,
Yeah, it
in the,
wasn't just that though. It's just not watching the movie. It's how it was marketed as it was real.
yeah,
Like I don't think any other movie was marketed that way at that point. You know, and so a lot of people believed it. I remember in high school that people were talking. Do you believe it's real? It's just it was it was a crazy time. I've never witnessed any movie would be discussed in that way. So
mm,
people that didn't live through that don't have any clue why Blair Witch was actually so successful and why it's still remembered and why it did start this found footage craze. The marketing was genius. It really was. You couldn't do that today. You can't. It just wouldn't be allowed. But they had liberties back then, and I think it was great. But I wish they wouldn't have started. The found footage craze, but
yeah,
it did.
it went down negatively. Like we talked paranormal activities. There's some that now was it Hell House LLC? thought
Hmm.
that they did an excellent job with the found footage genre. The Unfriended, I thought that they did an interesting thing. It's not found footage, but it's a subgenre of found footage, which is webcam. I guess you call it like webcam style of footage or something like that.
Yeah.
I thought they did a good job with that. Uh, you know, but I think that for the most part, though, it's hard to properly pull off that genre. And then, like, I just I'm not into the torture porn stuff. I'm not into the Saw. I'm not into um,
Hostel.
Hostel. There was a couple of other ones. I would say uh, the was it Black something Manor? No, no. Was it some Wolf Creek, or something like that? It's Australian horror.
Australian, yeah. I didn't like that. It got like 2 to 3 movies, got a TV show. I just
Yeah,
didn't find it very interesting. But a lot of people love it.
and then we had the next big innovation in the horror was post Scream,
Oh,
first post Saw. We had, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we have the horror remake, the Texas Chainsaw Massacres, the
yeah.
Friday 13th, those things like that.
Bloody Valentine, yeah, yeah. They started remaking those.
Buddy Valentine, yeah,
Then we got Insidious, which I still consider that one of the better horror modern films today. Then The Conjuring kind of brought back the supernatural craze, and I think today it's legacy sequels. Thank you, Halloween. Because I say thank you, Halloween, because that's the big one that really started it. Then you got your Scream Legacy sequel. Texas Chainsaw Massacre has done it a few times. I Know What You Did Last Summer is getting a legacy sequel. Just what's next? Friday the 13th, when it finally does come back, is it going to be a legacy sequel instead of like a remake?
Speaking of James Wan, so
Uh,
he has a new show uh, that's coming on Peacock, I think, on
yeah,
the 10th.
I have
Uh,
seen a clip of it. It looks interesting.
Today. It's called Teacup, and it looks interesting. Um, you know, and I'm down with it, man. I'm down for it. But yeah, that's another thing I was gonna bring up before we end the podcast. So I said we're gonna have Halloween 1 and 2 here in Bowling Green. Feel free to. I love people should go check it out if they want to watch a free horror movie at the Capitol Art. Then that would be one to watch. But also in theaters, Terrifier 3's out, which it might not be everybody's cup of tea. The second one I famously didn't like. Uh, it
Yeah,
was
I didn't either.
too it was too graphic to me and too long. But I like the character of Art the Clown.
Yeah, yeah, I like art. I just didn't like the story it told in part two. I agree it was too long as well. So I'm not really excited to see the third. I will catch it at some point. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna go to a movie theater though. I'm just I'm not really like even with Smile that's coming out next week. I'm not excited for it. And I really like that first movie, but I just feel like they're rinsing and repeating themselves with that. And I think you should have a point. I
Yeah.
thought how it ended, you would go in that direction with this, whatever it is, demon.
Mm-hmm.
That would be more of what you see in the sequel. But it's not. I feel like you're just kind of repeating yourself with the first movie. And I don't really have an interest in that. But I
Yeah.
probably will see it since I really like the first one. But as far as Terrifier goes, I like Art the Clown. I don't like the story.
Yeah. As you know, I didn't really get down with Smile. I know, and I feel bad because I know that people love it. It has Kevin Bacon's kid in it. and but I just for me a couple of things. One, the trailer gave away so many things, and I wish I'd never seen the trailer. Two, uh, I just felt like I don't even mind the ending now, but I just felt like I didn't like the creature design. I think that I don't like tall
Yeah.
tall creatures, tall skinny creatures. It just I don't find it scary. Like like it did that. It chapter two did that at one point with the tall naked lady or whatever. I just think that it's not necessary. Um, I just I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like I think that it fell apart at the end, but I know that it could have been better. And I felt, and this is another thing, I felt that it wanted to be It Follows so bad, but and I because I think It Follows is a better film than Smile. I think that It Follows is a much better film than Smile. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I know I've heard you say that. Like every time we talk about Smile, you bring up It Follows.
It's trying to be it so bad. It tries to be it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you another movie though that it reminded me of. What was that movie? The really smiley one. The really bad movie though. It was like I can't think. They had a smile on their face, but it dealt with a cell phone. I I can't remember what it was called. It was so bad.
Countdown app or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was
Dead.
Countdown. Countdown.
I've never seen it, but it looks
No,
terrible.
that's a different one. That was one also. It was Truth or Dare.
Truth or
They
Dare.
just smiled really weirdly before they died, and that's what smiles. You know, the conception of it reminded me of. But those are really two bad movies. But I enjoyed Smile. I get that It Follows comparison. I do. I get it. I just think I really like Smile. I like Kevin Bacon's daughter in it. I like this story. I like the creature at the end. I thought that this is the direction we're going to go in, and maybe they are. Maybe they're it's a misconception.
Speak,
But I don't know.
speaking of Bacon, have you seen Maxine yet?
No, but I rented it. I forgot about it, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm watching a bunch of horror movies. I might as well rent this and see."
Yeah. I can't wait to hear your response to Maxine, and also I'll watch Maxine. If you're gonna watch Maxine and of a Violent Nature, I would watch of a Violent Nature in the Violent Nature first, then Maxine in the sense of uh, that's mine. Thank you. Yeah, I'll watch that first. Um, but I was gonna say this. You was bringing up that Truth or Dare movie.
Yeah.
That's another category of things we can actually do a list on eventually of just bad horror films that were forgettable. Like you remember that one? Wasn't it like one about video games and people dying in the game?
I actually like that one, but yeah, I know
Yeah,
what you're talking about. It had Frankie Muniz in it.
yeah, that one. And then there's one. I think it's called not Deadstream, but there's one about like the internet. I forget. It's so early 2000s. It's like there's so many other ones. I was just trying to think.
Fear.com? Talking about
Fear,
Fear.com?
yeah,
Yeah, that
Fear,
one
that's it.
with Steven Dorff. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was pretty bad.
yeah. There's a couple of them that's just kind of like those gimmicky. Uh, I want to do the Ring, but can't really do the Ring type of film. You know.
Yeah, as far as gimmicky, I think the last gimmicky film they came out with was probably Hellfest. I think Shudder did it better with Haunt.
Yeah.
Haunted house attraction. Um, I like. I think I could watch Haunt again and still enjoy it. But when I watched Hellfest again, I did not like it. because I knew what was, I don't know. I know it's kind of bad to say, what's going to happen, but you feel like you're in a haunted house attraction watching it, but you've already experienced it. So, with haunts, I don't feel that way. In fact, I know it probably makes zero sense because it is a haunted house attraction, but it feels fresh to me.
Yeah.
Where Hellfest doesn't feel fresh. It feels like something I've been through so many times. It's just old and played out,
I agree with you. Yeah, I was gonna say the last couple of films that was like gimmicky. Like there's another subgenre of cursed objects, the cursed things. Remember the one about like the cursed box, like the Jewish box or something like that?
With Frank Leggett, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it. It was called The Bots.
It is. There's the one with she's like a Muslim girl, and I think she's Muslim. I don't know. And there's like a jinn or something. I don't know. It's so stupid.
Oh,
it came out a couple of years ago.
Ron Phillippe was the father, right?
No, that's not even. That's a different one. I'm talking about the one where like the girl had a mason jar and it had like this demon in it or something like that.
I don't think I've seen this.
Yeah, it's that bad. Yeah, it came out and I thought, oh, this is gonna be like a like almost like it, but it's not. It was terrible. But yeah.
Yeah, what I'm thinking of is called Wish Upon. Had Ron
I know
as the father.
I know Ron Phillippe was in it. I've never seen that movie.
It's bad. It's really bad.
But
I watched it for him, but
Well, what do we want the people to do, Brandon?
Well, if you like this episode and you want to see more, click that like, subscribe, comment, share the Mark Out Movie Podcast on YouTube and on Facebook.
And I'm on X and TikTok as well, but Anyway, if you next week we're gonna be watching Toxic Avenger. I almost say Texas Chainsaw. Toxic Avenger from 1984. It's a trauma film.
Oh, did Lloyd Kaufman have anything to do with this film?
I think he had everything to do with this film.
Oh, I'm gonna hate it. Bring it on though. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Should I do an audible? Should I do it full of audible?
No. I'll gladly watch it. I'll laugh. I know I will.
All right.
It's like one of his more popular films, right?
It is his most popular film.
Okay.
It's when he was trying to be sort of serious, I guess. I don't know. Lloyd is a weird guy, but anyway.
Yeah, I've seen some of his movies. He's very weird.
Aaron Whitlow.
Brandon Spivey.
Thank you for marking out with us here on the Mark Out Movie Podcast. You have a good rest of your weekend and enjoy the scary movies. Let us know, comment, let us know, suggest scary movies to watch.